Hey y'all, welcome back to this week's episode of AMA Friday with Amy Miller, Recruiting in Yoga Pants. So we're going to kick off the first video in what is going to be a two-part series of how to answer stupid recruiter questions. Not saying the recruiters are stupid, saying the questions sometimes are head scratchers. So we've got two specific questions that we're going to tackle, one this week, one next week. So stay tuned or go check out the second one. And those are going to be, number one, tell me about yourself, everyone's favorite question. And then next week we will tackle, where do you see yourself in 5 years, right? Another favorite of recruiters everywhere. Not really. Okay, so tell me about yourself. We'll start with this one this week. And, you know, I don't hate this question as much. The 5-year one I have a little bit more of a reaction to, which you'll see in the next video. But the tell me about yourself, I get it, because I'm coming at it from a recruiting perspective. And so I understand what I'm trying to unpack with that. So that's what I want to talk about today. So first of all, helping shine a light on why recruiters even ask this question, or perhaps other interviewers ask this question. And then secondly, how can job seekers answer it effectively, at least in my opinion. So please use your best judgment. Your personal mileage may vary. If you get an answer from another recruiter you like better, that's fine. Listen to them, okay? Have a nice day. We'll see you another time. Okay, so tell me about yourself. I think the reason why this frustrates people so much is because you are almost immediately kind of put in this position of like, well, don't you already know about myself because you saw my resume, right? And so I think a lot of the frustration comes from that, dang, y'all, I gave you all this information on my resume, you didn't even read it. That's really not necessarily where we're coming from. So from a recruiting perspective, I'll tell you why we would ask something like this. I use this question, I actually frame it a little differently, which I'll talk about as well. But I'm using this question to kind of just help kick off the conversation, and it allows me to kind of fill in any gaps that might exist, right? Because if I'm working off of a LinkedIn profile or even off of a resume, that may or may not tell me the full story. Remember, that's your marketing document. The purpose of that resume or even LinkedIn profile is to get the attention of people like me. I'm still going to have questions, right? And so let me tell you how I ask that question. So for my recruiter friends who are watching, please weigh in down in the comments if you're so inclined, like maybe how you're framing this. Let's learn from each other, because certainly don't want to pretend that my way is the only right way. That would be ludicrous. So I usually will say something like, hey, thanks for scheduling time to talk with me. I'm looking at your resume. I see that you are working at ABC company and you're working on XYZ initiative. That's awesome. I'd love to hear more about it. But as we get started, can you walk me through your background? Tell me a little bit, just a high level overview of your career so far. And then I want to talk about what's next for you. So let's start with, get me up to speed on your, 2-minute overview of your career to date. And I try to position it that way because first of all, I want to acknowledge that yes, I have looked at your resume. I have it right in front of me. I'm taking notes as we're talking. I'm looking at the resume. I promise you I've seen it. I'm also trying to make it really clear the context of the answer I'm hoping to get from you. It's not your life story. It's not, I was born in Kansas and I went to K-State and I married my high school sweetheart and I did all, nobody cares about that. It's not relevant. We don't want to talk about it. We don't want to hear about it. I want to keep it grounded in your career background accomplishments, okay? What I'm trying to do here is fill in any gaps or just kind of get this nice mental picture that I can document and share with my hiring manager that tells me a little bit about you as a potential new employee. So I don't need every last tidbit. I don't need every specific, thing you've ever done. I'm just kind of looking for that overview or that elevator pitch. We've talked about elevator pitches before on the channel, so you can check out that video above as well. I'll go ahead and put a link to it up above, but just, again, just understand that it's not intended to be a gotcha question, or shouldn't be intended to be a gotcha question. And it really is just an opportunity for us to just kind of understand who you are as an employee and prospective employee for us. Now, as a job seeker, how can I answer this question? And let's say the recruiter is just launching into, tell me about yourself, or an interviewer. Interviewers are bad for this. Tell me about yourself. I think I'm repeating myself here, but I think the right answer is kind of that quick overview elevator pitch that hopefully you've already created. But I think it also is totally okay to say, I've been at this a long time. There's a lot I could tell you about my career. This would be my answer because I've been doing this for 100 years. I want to make sure I'm giving you relevant information. Would it be helpful for me to talk a little bit about my most recent employer, my current role, what I'm working on today, and is there anything else that you want me to talk through? And make them clarify. What is it you want to know, sir or ma'am? That's what I want to know from you as the job seeker. What are you trying to get out of me so that I am giving you the right information? There is absolutely nothing wrong with putting that question back on them, because the recruiter or the interviewer should be able to give you some clarity as to what they are trying to capture about you. Now, sometimes this question is merely an icebreaker, right? We've been trained to, when you meet a new person, stick your hand out, shake the hand, and hi, how are you? What do you do? And it's an icebreaker. It may not even be that serious. It may not even be that deep, right? It's just starting the conversation. That's okay. Again, here's a little bit about me. Here's my elevator pitch. Here's the things I'm really proud of. Here's the things I've done. That's all. That's all we're looking for with that question. If you have some weirdo recruiter who's like literally trying to get into all your business and your backstory and how many kids you have, and none of their business. Don't go there. Don't talk about it. It's not nobody's business but yours. You do not have to share anything outside of what is relevant to your fit for the job. So keep it focused on that. That is one of the mistakes that I have seen job seekers make over the years, is they'll kind of launch into very personal information. So they'll start, well, tell me about yourself. Well, I'm a mom and I have 4 kids, and, I bake cakes on the weekend, and they start kind of going into all this personal depth. And, I mean, that wouldn't bother me. Like, I'm a mom with 4 kids and I bake too. Oh, who knew we had so much in common? But I mean, that's not the purpose of this conversation, right? We don't need to get into that granular detail. And frankly, there are going to be recruiters and hiring managers who abuse knowing that information. We don't want you falling into those traps either. We don't want you to run into that misogynist who's like, oh, this person has a bunch of kids. Like, there's no way they'll be here every day and work late like I need them to. Red flags, don't go there. So just keep that in mind. We're coming up on time for this one, but just keep that in mind. Again, the purpose here is it's either at worst case scenario, it's probably just a simple icebreaker. Best case scenario, it's an opportunity to just go a little bit deeper than the resume allowed for, share a little bit more professional insights that you really want the recruiter to know. And also keep in mind that the recruiter's job at this stage is to gather insights, gather information, and gather all of these cool details about you that prove that you're a fit for the position, so that the hiring manager will be inclined to take the next step. All right, y'all, I hope that helps. We will address part 2 next week, so please go check out that video when it's available, and leave a comment down below. I read them all. Let me know what you think, and we'll see you next week.